While Congress wrestled for weeks to pass legislation responding to the Wuhan virus, some senators were much quicker to act when it came to their own personal fortunes. According to their financial disclosures, Republican Senators Richard Burr and Kelly Loffler, along with Democrat Dianne Feinstein, all sold large amounts of stock in advance of the stock market collapse. Many of these transactions occurred shortly after Congress was briefed behind closed doors by U.S. officials on the potential impact the coronavirus could have on the country. Senator Burr, who is the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee and worth a reported $1.8 million, has the most troubling pattern of behavior. On February the 4th, Senator Burr received a private briefing on how other countries were dealing with the impact of the global pandemic. Burr, who also sits on the Senate Health Committee, received another private briefing on February the 12th. The very next day, Senator Burr sold 33 stock holdings worth between $600,000 and $1.7 million. Had he not made those trades, Burr's portfolio would have been down by 30% within weeks. But Burr is hardly alone. Senator Kelly Loffler, who is married to the chairman of the New York Stock Exchange, also sits on the Senate Health Committee. On January the 24th, the same day that Senate committee received a private briefing about the spread of the global pandemic, Loffler and her husband began selling stock. They eventually unloaded $3 million worth of shares in 27 separate transactions. 2 days after the Senate received a classified briefing on the coronavirus, Loeffler's husband, Jeffrey Sprecher, sold $3.5 million worth of his own company's stock. Senator Dianne Feinstein's financial disclosures expose a similar trend. Within weeks of receiving a private Senate briefing, Feinstein's husband unloaded between $1 and $5 million worth of stock. Even U.S. House members got in on the action, with California Congresswoman Susan Davis selling airline and cruise industry stock in advance of the market collapse. Burr says his trades were not based on inside information, but by information gained by watching cable news. Senator Loeffler insists that her family stock trades are made by third parties without her knowledge because of her husband's position at the New York Stock Exchange. Senator Feinstein makes a similar claim, saying that her funds are in a blind trust. The trouble is, the Feinstein stock trade involved her husband's assets, which most definitely are not in a blind trust. Both senators are trying to create the impression that their trades must have been clean because their assets were in a blind trust. But let's be clear. Congressional disclosure forms have a box that must be checked if your assets are indeed in a blind trust. Neither senator did so concerning the trades in question. And let's keep in mind, there are still dozens of U.S. senators who have yet to disclose any trades they might have made in the same time period. Back in 2011, I wrote a book that exposed the alarming patterns by which members of Congress's stock portfolios were outperforming the nation's top hedge funds. That book led to the passage of the Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge Act, or STOCK Act. Sadly, the recent activities of Congress show that, even in times of the most unimaginable crisis, our nation's health still takes a backseat to Washington's wealth. I'm Peter Schweizer, and this is The Drill Down. For more information, contact us on social media or go to DrillDownTV.com.